being able to carve out community for myself, like that is the only way that I have been able to get to where I am right now. My name is Cyan. My pronouns are she, her. I am a fourth-year student at Colorado State University, and I'm from Boston. I grew up in a single-parent household, so it's just me and my mom. I'm an only child. She very much wanted me to just have the best schooling possible, which at the time anyway she thought was Catholic school. So I grew up, at least for a bit, going to Catholic school, and then I tested into my high school, which was a really big accomplishment. I grew up in an environment where education was definitely seen as you should go to college and pursue a career that way. Because my mom didn't want to have any more kids, that meant that I got pets instead. And so I think becoming veterinarian, to me, it happened very early on, where I was oh, I can kind of morph these two interests together, where it's I grew up kind of lonely, but I had these pets, but I still want to help people. And so that's kind of where it came from. When I was in fourth grade, I remember I was staying at my grandma's house after soccer practice, and they had this blind driveway lined by these Christmas trees. And I had my dog Taco, and me and him were supposed to be going into the house while my grandma was pulling into the driveway. And I didn't hold on to Choco's leash. And so I think my grandma was probably his favorite person. And so because he was out with me, he wanted to get to my grandma, and so he kind of ducked behind the trees and she couldn't see him, and she ended up hitting him. That was such a traumatic experience for me. My grandfather came outside and grabbed a towel, and we wrapped him up, and we took him to the MSPCA, or Angel Memorial, and there was nothing they could do, and there was nothing I could do. And I just remember holding his paw on the way there, and there was and it was just this feeling of helplessness, and just not being able to do anything for my best friend. And that for me was I don't ever want to be in that situation again. I want to be able to help. So it wasn't until really undergrad, and especially my junior year, where I was okay, I'd been volunteering at shelters, and I had an internship at the zoo, and okay, what do I need to do to what does vet school look like? What do I need to do? And so when I was researching, that's actually when I found that it was the widest widest field in the country, and that was kind of okay, well then I started looking into try to see what was being done about that, if there were any initiatives or anything like that. And from what I was seeing at that time anyway, there was nothing obvious in the Googling I was seeing, and kind of the vibes I got was well, we have Tuskegee, which is the only HBCU, and we're kind of gonna rely on them to pump out all the diversity, all the black vets. And to me, that was very much all right, well, that doesn't seem like this field wants diversity. That doesn't want, inner city kids like me. I honestly had a little bit of a mental breakdown for a week. I was very upset. I was crying. And then it wasn't until one of my friends was well, you can kind of try to be the change that you want to see in your field. And that's when it kind of clicked for me of okay, well, I have this degree in biology that I definitely don't want to do anything else with. Everything up to this point has been so that I could go to vet school. And so I kind of took that, and it was okay, I can do this. And I ran with it, and I was just okay, I'm just going to go in kind of like a bulldozer and try to carve out a path so that people can see someone like me in this field and be no, this field is for also people like us, and for also people who didn't grow up with veterinarian parents, or grew up poor, grew up in the city. And so yeah, that's really what I want to do, just be this image of no, I'm here so you can be too. My first experiences with veterinary medicine is directly in the field was probably when I was working at Angel Medical Center in Boston. And I think for me, I just kind of got a lot of vibes were kind of there was a negative attitude when, let's say, owners didn't have suddenly $6,000 to spend on their pets. And so there was kind of just this negative attitude of when you have lower income families who do care for their pets, and they are not able to put all those financial resources into giving the care for that pet. And especially that really hit home for me, because I definitely grew up in a household where my dogs were not going to the vet every year. That was not something we could afford. And so I definitely resonate with that. Oh, well, you can't afford this, like, why do you have a pet? Like, you should have this like backlog of money just in case something happens. And that's just like not reality for a lot of people. I felt like vet school has honestly been probably the easiest schooling I've done. And because I kind of had that, like, I did vet prep, so I did a master's, so I had that first year to move here and get over like, oh, this environment is very different than what I'm used to, and like kind of already make friends and those kinds of things out the way. I was able to really just kind of like, once vet school started, I was like, okay, well, this is what it is. And I think that for me, because of everything, how it clicked for me, I didn't struggle with the imposter syndrome as much as I expected to when I first entered. But of course, there's also things like I'm in the most diverse class at CSU, so it wasn't just me, the only Black person, like there's 5 other Black people in our class. I didn't struggle as much as I expected to as soon as I started. I think that at least in undergrad, I had a really good friend base, and one of my professors who I really looked up to was my physics professor, and me and one of my friends who encouraged me to still apply were always in our office hours. And her being a woman in physics, she talked a lot to us about imposter syndrome and those kinds of things. So I think that those experiences I had and just having a really good support system, like I've had like my whole life, even through high school, that really helped me kind of be able to navigate this place and kind of put myself in the positions where I've been able to be in while I've been at CSU. As a vet student, a lot of people already know about SAVMA, but SAVMA stands for the Student American Veterinary Medical Association. And for our chapter here at CSU, we're an umbrella chapter, so you can kind of think of SAVMA as student governments for our vet school. And for the club that I've been involved in since I started vet school, Voice, our president, who was a couple years ahead of me and also was in the same kind of master's to DVM program I was in, vet prep, she was involved in SAVMA, and she was our SAVMA DEI rep. And so I knew about the work, and I knew about the work she was doing through her. And then it kind of came up when I was about to start third year that no one was really applying for the position. I thought that I could step in the position, and what I wanted to do was to create a sort of legacy within our SAVMA chapter and in our student governments to have ongoing DEI programming that was going to be put on every year. So I was like, okay, well, I'll reach out to students and I'll see what students want to see for SAVMA in terms of what this program can look like for them, because that's who it's for. And what came out of that was this idea of like, kind of like a week-long series of events. And at that meeting, we decided it would be called Veterinary Inclusive Excellence Week. And the idea was to just kind of shine a light on how veterinary medicine can interact with different identities, essentially. So we didn't want to just be about race. We didn't want to just be about gender. It was about like, also including like disability. Like it can also include being from a rural area, because that also counts in DEI. Like we just wanted to kind of hit home to students that DEI is something that's for everyone. And so I was very excited when we were talking about this, and excited that I was in a position to be like, okay, well, I'm in the position to make sure that this does happen. And with my committee and everything, we planned it on. We were able to throw that this past spring. We got higher attendance than I was worried about getting. And so I think it really resonated with students here. When you have people who are from that community who are also in the positions of being the veterinary practitioners, that helps facilitate that communication and then an understanding of knowing where that person is coming from, instead of it kind of being like my past experience of like, oh, they're financial or whatever. But when you have that relatability, I think that will play a really important role in both how our relationship with our clients, but also in how they view us, and how kids who are watching those interactions, how they view our field, and being like, oh, that looks really cool, I want to do that. Or that person, my vet looks like me, I want to do that. And so I think that if we are able to head in that direction where our veterinary practitioners can better reflect the communities they're serving, I think that would be a very important step towards the diversity that we are kind of striving towards, but definitely aren't there yet. Like if you know that this is your passion and that you really can't see yourself doing anything else, I think build yourself a support system, because you're going to need it, and you just have to kind of power through it anyway. I think that especially depending on where you end up going to school, all the vet schools look differently, and you may be in a situation where you are the only person who's from your background in your class. And so I think if the most important thing I can say is just really make sure you have a support system and seek out mentors also. They can also really help you when you're on your journey to becoming the vet you want to be. And so I think it's just knowing that you may have to go it alone, but being okay with that because you have a system behind you. Over the next 5 years in vet medicine, I just hope to see more of an outward push for inclusion. When you have a lack of diversity, that could also be kind of shunning diversity in the way. And so I think that being more intentional about where we have inclusion and how we move those things to the forefront, that's going to be really important for our field and how we move forward and being able to connect with the communities that we serve. And part of that is also having people that are from those communities in this field.